Hey guys, it's Nyla Dar here from Love Now TV, transforming fear to love and helping you to not suffer unnecessarily. We often know what to do. Our wisdom guides us, our intuition knows, and what can get in the way of us listening to that is the kind of thoughts that we judge ourselves with. And when we get lost in those thoughts, we lose sight of the wisdom that knows what we need to do to get the help we might need at a certain time in life. And in today's dream that I'm going to discuss is about that. So if you're interested in dreams, there's a book that I would recommend that I really enjoy. It's called The Book of Dreams by Sylvia Browne. And I got it years ago. And when I got it, at that point, I knew about different kinds of dreams, but I didn't know about astral travel. And so it was the first time I learned about astral travel. And astral travel is you sleeping and reconnecting with people that may have passed away, people you care about, and having reunions and reconnections or completions that you didn't have. But she also shared a very kind of sweet thing that made me smile. She said, because she lived in the States, she said that she would often, because they were so far apart, her friends, that often they would just meet up astrally and reconnect with each other. And I thought, how cool is that, So that night I said to my dream power, I want to astral travel. I really want to experience what that's like. So I went to sleep and I dreamt, and I ended up in Yorkshire. And Yorkshire is a place that I used to live when I was young. And I met up with an old friend of mine. Now, she didn't look like herself. And that's why it's important to write your dreams down, because dreams often come in puns. So if you were to write, she didn't look like herself, that could mean she's not well or there's something else there. Anyway, she didn't look like herself. And then she had a big purple circle round on her forehead and one on her chest. Very strong, very specific. So of course, the next day when I woke up, the first thing I did is call her, and she couldn't speak very well. And I said, what's going on? And she said to me, I've been telling my friends I need to call Nyla. But she said, but I couldn't because I felt too ashamed. And I said, why? So she ends up telling me that one of her daughters had got involved with a gang, got into trouble, and she could potentially go to prison. And she was just beside herself. And she was a heavy smoker. So she used to maybe smoke a pack a day, but since she found out, she was just smoking one after another, and now she could hardly breathe, and she was in a terrible state. Now, I'd reconnected with her a couple of years previously when she was actually going through a divorce, and she was in quite a, tough place. And at the time, I used to use a technique called EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. It's based on the acupressure points like acupuncture, but instead of needles, you tap on certain points in the body. And what that does is that it releases the tension and it can release trauma. And I had used this technique for many years and I was pretty good at it, and it'd been very effective. So I had used it with her a couple of years previously. And so when she was talking and I could see she was in this terrible state, I said to her, I'm going to do EFT on you. Now, part of the way you use EFT is you make a statement, you kind of diagnose what's going on, and then you make this statement, and then the person repeats that, and then you do the tapping. So I said, you know the point, you do the tapping, I'll make up the statement and you repeat after me. And that's what she started to do. And we did this for about 20-30 minutes. And then as she did that, and as I used the statements that helped her to get some perspective, helped her to sort of calm down, helped her to see the bigger picture, and the fear and the anxiety started to dissipate, it started to move from her body. The two places it started to move was from her forehead and her chest. She said, my chest feels lighter, my head is not as heavy. And so over time, that's what got cleared up. And I laughed with her and I said to her, look, you know, if you need me, call me, because I've had to astral travel to get to you. And the truth is that our wisdom is always guiding us. It knows what we need. It's the deeper intelligence of the deeper self within us. And she really knew who could help her at that moment. And she had that problem running when she went to her bed to sleep. And then I picked that up. Again, it just shows you how connected we are and the value of listening to what wants to be heard through us, and to become aware of the thoughts and feelings that are judgmental, that are talking about what's, like for example, shame is very much about identity, what's wrong with me, whereas guilt is more about, you know, this was not good behavior and I need to apologize or I need to make good. It's more about behavior. But shame is sort of at the core of it. There's something inherently wrong with me, something wrong with my identity, something wrong with me, something wrong with my children. And it thrives on secrecy and judgment and silence. And that was getting in the way of her getting the help she needed. And when we have those kind of feelings, we've got to get to know that those feelings are not reliable and that we're in a low mood and they're not trustworthy. If they're attacking us and they're judgmental, there could be a habitual way of thinking. But if you leave them alone, they will pass without you having to do anything. They will pass. And your deeper self that is communicating with you will be heard. And it's worth listening to. It's wise, it's powerful, it's resilient. It is you. It is you. And whether you're awake or you're dreaming, you can hear that. You can hear it from a quiet mind. So look more in that direction. Thank you for listening, and I will share with you another dream next week. Bye for now.